Welcome to the 825 Technologies Podcast. It's your go to source for practical IT insights, and I'm Andy.
And I'm Tim. Today we have some fantastic tech headlines to break down, from quantum computing to potential tax rebates that could affect your IT budget.
Well, you gotta like the IT budget rebates. But before we get too far into that, Microsoft announced that they've got this new uh, processing chip, and it is a quantum chip, which is kind of fascinating because Google's had a quantum computer. It's been pretty good, and now you've got the Majorana.
I think that's how you say
Majorana? We
it.
don't know.
Majorana. Yep.
Majorana? Who knows? But it's number one. Majorana
Right.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, this is pretty big, Andy. I mean, especially with this quantum chip, it's going to revolution everything from cyber threats to scientific breakthroughs to there's a lot of cool things out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just the idea how fast it can process now is through the roof. And it's using this new thing called a topo conductor. I guess it's not too new, but it is new in the idea of quantum computing is new, and it's a new state of matter. And what it can do is um, allow for these, because quantum computing works on the idea that electron can exist almost in two places at once. Does it? Does it
Mhm.
not? Who knows? Um, but this material allows it to happen, and it can happen in a more ready environment before you've had to create these extreme situations of extreme cold or um, you know vacuums or really huge rooms that allow for a lot of margin of error. But now it's something that can actually fit kind of in a maybe a chipset from a while ago, but still in a reasonably sized chipset. So that's kind of cool.
For all the small business listeners, while this won't be immediately available, Microsoft plans to make it accessible through Azure cloud services before 2030. We got a little bit of time.
Yeah, yeah,
Just a little bit.
yeah. Half a decade, and a consumer can use quantum computing.
That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah,
Man,
which
AI and all that. Ooh.
yeah, I don't know if 5 years ago, if you told me in a decade we'd be at this point with AI and quantum computing, if I would have believed anyone.
All right. It surprised all of us how fast it came out.
Yeah. So then I now wonder, could it happen before 2030 even that we have quantum computers that you could get on Amazon Web, Azure Cloud, Google Cloud?
That's wow.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. So we'll see what happens.
That's right.
What else is going on?
Oh, looks like we've got some news coming in. Acer's raising prices. Uh, Acer has stated they're going to be increasing their prices by 10%.
Ooh, possibly a little tariffs there going on. You think that we're going to see other companies jump in and say, "Hey, let's crank these prices up"?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If someone starts, someone's going to follow along.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a wild world as far as you've got tariffs. Obviously, these tariff wars are. I think you're right. It's going to drive up prices, but then. Where do we get these rare earth minerals from? Oh, conflict zones, or the Congo, or so we've got that whole side of the coin too, and we just seem to be throwing more and more stuff away that's
Yeah,
electronic.
right.
Yeah, and
Come
so
up with better recycling programs for all this stuff.
yeah, there was a while back, maybe a month back, where they were saying that you could use a form of whey protein to help get gold out of processors.
Hey, if it works, it works.
Yeah. It's an interesting way that they're finding to extract some of these minerals in a cheaper way from some of our recycled materials. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you were getting ready to buy a lot of computers, Tim.
I would do it now.
All right. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Makes you wonder if we shouldn't just buy some, like scalpers with the NVIDIA cards. Oh, yeah, you need cheap laptop. We've got cheap laptops. Come on. Yeah.
Open my jacket up here. You pick one out.
Any one you want. Just pick one. So that's all you get is just one. No, I'm with you. I think this would be a good time to be like, yeah, let's get them now before the prices go up. I think
Right.
it'll go up on network switches, firewalls, servers.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Anything with electronics is going to go up, unfortunately. But
Yeah. Think of what it's going to do to car prices.
yeah, especially for like how much more and more every day electronics are getting put inside cars,
Yes.
safety features and all that. Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy out there with that.
Yeah. No, it's and it false reports sometimes on cars too. I had to take my car in recently because it was flashing the transmission light and like the safety eyesight feature light of like front end collision stuff. It's like that's weird. So I take it in and it was actually two blown fuses. Two of the fuses were blown. And they're like, "Did you plug something in that draws a lot of power?" Or I was like, not over the last week. It's just been my phone.
1.21 gigawatts. No,
Yeah,
just kidding.
exactly. I'm not time traveling over here. Yeah, best I can figure is like, snow got kicked up in there or something and, you know,
Probably.
blew a fuse. But yeah, it freaked my car out. It was upset,
Ugh.
man.
Ugh.
It's upset. But, hey, speaking of tariffs and technology and businesses, so if you have, stepped out from under a rock in the last 2 weeks, you know that DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, has been taking a chainsaw to whatever it can find, which
Chainsaw.
good, bad, or indifferent, it's a reality. And one of the interesting developments is there's talk, and right now it's only talk, that there could be some interesting business budget increase coming down the line.
That's right. Elon Musk is considering a $5,000 refund check program for tax-paying households.
Yes.
Wow.
So they, 400 billion or so projected savings thus far by cuts. And they're saying, roughly 79 million households, they'd, be able to get back 5,000 or so. I'm not sure if that totally maths out when you really look at it all. But also, you know, this is a technology podcast, so we'll stay
Right.
out of the deep weeds on this. But I do think it's one that, if it does happen, could be helpful, could offset some tariff pains or things of that nature. But I also think that maybe they need to just throw that back into the deficit if that's what they're making the cuts for.
Right. We do have to pay the money back.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on it. If you've saved the money, let's put it towards the $1 trillion credit card debt that we've run up. Let's get that taken care of. So yeah.
Right now, it's worth not noting that it's still in proposal stage, so it wouldn't take effect until July 2026. So
Yeah, which a lot happens in a year, doesn't it?
it can be pretty quick, right around the corner.
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, it's like I said, don't want to get too political, but I'd be upset if we got a $5,000 check based on that, especially knowing the number of people that have lost their jobs.
Yeah, especially What did you do last week? That's pretty much what's going on.
Right, that email. Yeah, 5 things that you did last week. Well, yeah, I read a projection that answering that email could cost upwards of $170 million just to not
Jeez,
only read it, but then to process the answers. Like in time of people's wages, it would be $170 million. Which then, when you get into something that big, you gotta be really mindful of communication, I guess, because each email could really be expensive.
that's a very expensive email. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. Well, on the other side of that too is the processing of the answers was supposed to be done with AI. So then they'd be able to see if somebody was doing something useful based on AI. But also, you have to look at, well, what was their objective, right? Because if their objective was to, I don't know, take out sea lampreys in the Great Lakes, it might seem superfluous in AI's eyes.
Right.
AI's eyes. But
Hey,
yeah,
yeah, say that real quick.
yeah. But, it could be very important. Yeah. Sea lampreys, man, they're still a problem. Yeah. I just recently learned they wiped out the whole fish population in the Great Lakes in like the 1940s or something.
I did not know that.
Yeah. It
Wow.
basically sunk the whole fishing industry up in the Great Lakes because these sea lampreys, they latch onto fish and suck the blood out of all these fish. And it was just, yeah, where people would go out and catch like 1.5 tons of fish a day. A day, they'd go out like a
That's a lot of
boat.
fish.
They'd grab that many fish, tons of them, and they'd been doing that for years and years and years. The next year, they went out and they got like 20 pounds a day if they were lucky. Yeah, so kind of crazy, kind of crazy. Well, I think it's time, since we're talking about Musk. He's
Yeah.
famous for SpaceX. He's famous for launching a Tesla Roadster into space. So, let's jump up into space here, go a little otherworldly. There is rumors that Nokia, in conjunction with DARPA, is building a cell network on the moon.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah, it looks like Nokia is building out a 4G network, integrating the spacesuits.
I mean, I guess you kind of.
Maybe I could collect call 1 second. Beep 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 beep.
I mean, where else are you going to put it? I guess, right? Like, why build it into a handset? You need a spacesuit up there. So
The bear just put one of those phone pole things up and just leave there on the moon.
yeah, yeah. So it seems like this is a joint venture with DARPA. It's supposed to support data capacity mainly. So, like something for the equivalent of home television streaming or film streaming, so that they can do video conferencing and communicate while they're up there on space. Hey, here's a video of how to replace that oxygen regenerator. It's kind of important. You've only got 30 seconds before you run out of oxygen. Good luck.
You better get going.
Yeah. Yeah. So they think that by 2028, it will be up and running.
I think that's pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really quick.
So do you think people will be living up there?
Maybe, I don't know, maybe the next 10 to 20 years I can see it.
Yeah.
How fast we're going with technology and stuff, I think we'll be there.
Yeah. And then the question is, like, why the moon rather than the ocean?
Right?
Yeah, why not create a barge that you could, I guess because tsunamis, big waves, rogue waves, that's probably a hard one to budget for.
Right.
Yeah. But it is kind of, it's funny, when you and I were coming up, cell phones were emerging. And I don't know if you did. I think it was like a 4760 or something, the Nokia. It was like a candy bar phone. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I do remember those.
Those things you could beat with a
Yeah.
baseball bat.
You run over the car a couple times, it'll still be fine.
Yes. I cannot tell you the number of times I left it on the top of my car and drove off and came back at, luckily it was still there, but like totally fine. Totally fine.
Yeah, it's like me out of steel.
They were. Yeah, they were bulletproof. And so I kind of wonder if that was part of the reasoning behind let's go to Nokia. We're building on the moon. We need something tough. We're going to Nokia.
We're going to Nokia.
They are having a resurgence. Actually, they've got new phones out. Nokia does.
I haven't really kept up with Nokia.
Yeah, they're kind of retro. They go back to that feel, and they also have like instead of a keypad, it's like a dial. So you roll the dial, and it's kind of cool.
I was hoping they're gonna put a big old rotary on it or something.
Yeah, that's it. Tick, 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 tick. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah, those would be cool. Yeah, and they're building on that whole dumb phone movement where people are tired of their smartphones, and the addiction to social media and all those other troubles, and they just want a phone that can make phone calls and they can listen to Spotify on. And so that's what Nokia's filling in right now.
Nice.
It is kind of nice. It gives you a good option for your kids.
That's true.
Like that's a really good one. Yeah, the cell phone with kids problem is a real problem. And it's good to know that even if you move your family to the moon, you can't escape it. It's going to be there.
Yeah, we're going to the moon.
That's it. I'm tired of these phones. We're going to the moon.
That's right.
Won't work. Yeah, man, that's a tough one. Would you, if you had a let's say the government comes to you and they're like, we need families to move to the moon. Your face already. You're like, ah, and they're like, we're gonna pay you. We'll pay you $250,000 a year. But we'll cover all expenses: food, room, board, medical, and the 250 can just go into an account, use it for whatever, and we'll pay each of your dependents 50 grand on top of it. Would you do it?
Oh, probably.
You would,
just for a couple years,
just 2 years,
just a couple years, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, if you got your kids 50 grand a year for a couple years and just throw it in an account, let it earn some interest.
I know, you're good. Bam. Help the school and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a little pressure off of them. Helps with the tariffs just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. If you bought stuff on the moon, would you have tariffs?
Which country?
Yeah, where are you buying it from? Does the Amazon deliver to the moon? That's a question.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, they have their own outpost.
It's a 10-week wait.
Lunar Prime. Get it in 10 weeks. Wow, that's really fast. Perfect.
That's pretty fast.
All right. Yeah, who knows? That might be the reason that Blue Origin launched. Jeff Bezos was like, we're going to the moon. I need to make sure we've got a space rocket that can take our deliveries up there.
That's right. That's awesome.
Yeah. My question is this, though. If they're going to have this live in 2028, I know that government bureaucracy moves slow, especially if there's not an urgency on it. I mean, you think of how long the astronauts were stuck up in the International Space Station. So how long have they been planning this?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially when they got stuck and they're going to be, what, this year they were supposed to come back, weren't they?
Have they come back yet?
I don't know. I haven't read anything about it, but
they say they're fine, so that's half the battle.
They said like 6 months or something.
Yeah.
We'll get you one day.
We might get 4G up on the moon first, but we'll get you. We'll get you.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, they had to start thinking about this 10 years ago of getting cellular networks on the moon. Yeah. Who knows? It's kind of crazy.
That is
kind of crazy. Yeah. Who knows? Well, anything as we wrap up?
Before we wrap up, the key takeaways for our small business listeners.
That's a good point. Well, I'd say quantum computing. That's going to be interesting. I mean, we already have AI. We've covered it a few other podcasts, but I think you get quantum computing involved in the AI and the artificial general intelligence. Like that's going to be wild. Once you get it, that's going to explode. And as I get older, the more I realize like time is shrinking. Like I said, I used to think that would never happen. But now I look around and it's just shocking. So I think keep an eye on that, man. Quantum computing, especially out in the cloud, that's going to go nuts.
It is going to be.
Yeah. Makes you almost want to invest in Microsoft and some quantum computing companies because, yeah. If it is even, you're already on Robinhood. Because if it's even like slightly real of what they're saying, it's going to go insane.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a game changer. I don't know any other way to put it. Especially if we find a way to power it through nuclear fission, which has been something that's been popping up. I think a new record was just set on that in France. They ran it for like 20 some minutes.
Oh yeah, I heard how hot it got too. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, like 400 million degrees or 400. I can't remember what it was or something.
Yeah, that can create a lot of steam.
That's a lot of heat.
Yeah. When you think how small could you get that then? You realistically could run your car and you could run your whole house, off of 2 grams of this stuff, or even like 2/10 of a gram of this stuff. Yeah.
Hopefully, it doesn't blow up though.
Yeah, if it melted down, that could be problematic. Yeah, that's a lot of radiation. So who knows?
We might all have to go to the moon then.
Hey, and it's come full circle. It's come full circle.
We found it. There it is.
It's done. Bingo. Oh man. Well, I think that about does it for today, doesn't it?
Yep.
All right then.
Yep, that's all for the episode. Join us next week for more practical tech insights for your businesses. So,
yeah, thanks for listening. We'll talk to y'all soon.